Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're going to take a look at the October Community Day, which now got revealed to be Timburr, which of course we already knew prior based on several leaks as well as of leaks for the showcases. But today we're going to take a look on how good this Pokemon is going to be with a new charge move, Brutal Swing, which is actually a really great addition to this, which you're going to see later on as well. Very cool one there. Brutal Swing is a 40 energy move that does 65 power, which is basically the same as Surf does, for example, if you know that move. Brutal Swing is definitely a move that is very strong for this Pokemon. We can take a look at this one afterwards, but here real quick for the bonuses, of course, it's October 15th from 2 PM till 5 PM. Usual time basically, but 3 times Stardust is amazing, of course. It's a must-play community day, like 3 times Stardust plus this Pokemon, which is fairly rare. Honestly, must play. Lure is going to be active during the event and last for 3 hours. Of course, all the stuff that you usually have as well, but like main bonus is 3 times Stardust. We're going to have Girdle raids afterwards. We're going to have the normal research test that you can get. And this is going to be it for this one, but now let's take a look on how strong this Pokemon is going to be. And we're going to take a look a little bit deeper into this one as well. But here, for example, we're going to see our baseline here. We're going to have the normal variant right now, which has counter, Stone Edge, as well as Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch is a 50 energy move. Stone Edge, I think, is a 55 energy move, so you need like a lot of energy to get 2 moves for this Pokemon. So having a 40 energy move with Brutal Swing right now is going to be so beneficial for this Pokemon for PvP. We're going to have here the second moveset going to be counter, Brutal Swing, as well as Stone Edge, giving you basically the 2 best coverage moves because it actually doesn't really learn anything else other than Focus Blast, which is garbage. And then the third one is going to be the double Fine type moveset there with counter as well as Dynamic Punch plus Brutal Swing. And the last one is going to be Shadow Machamp as like a comparison for a Pokemon that is the same type and a similar playstyle, because Shadow Machamp has Cross Chop, which is a little bit better than Dynamic Punch for most Pokemon, as well as Rock Slide. Of course, you could of course do payback on this Pokemon as well, but Machamp and Conkeldurr usually are kind of similar in terms of the playstyle you have. So if we rate it, we're going to see here for the Great League right now that actually, the Conkeldurr moveset with Dynamic Punch plus Brutal Swing has a lot of potential in the Open Great League even, which is something that you might have not really expected, but this Pokemon has a ton of potential here, which is super wild to think of because, yeah, this Pokemon is usually not something that you see too often anymore. Here on the left side, you see what the current one is, and you see on the middle one there how good it is right now, and it's comparable to Shadow Machamp, which is really cool to see. And if we can take a look at the Matrix mode, though, we're going to see that Shadow Machamp still has a way better matchup in general, gaining even 60 more average rating, which is wild just because of Cross Chop, to be fair. As you can see here in the 2-shield scenario, you're going to be worse a little bit there, as well as also in the 0-shield scenario, you're going to be worse off with Conkeldurr. So it's not going to be an upgrade for Great League over Shadow Machamp, but it's definitely a side grade that you can use if you have a meta where the Brutal Swing is a better coverage move than, for example, Rock Slide, which might be interesting for you. So definitely an interesting fighting type Pokemon for the Great League. Well, of course, these stats, as you can see here, are not really ideal for it. Very attack rated, basically. So you're going to take a look at some potential, by the way, also for the Shadow variant later on. But as you can see here, the Ultra League is coming up next. Same moveset as before. And we will see that this Pokemon, again, gains a lot of potential. Especially now in the Ultra League, you're going to have something to hit Giratina as well as Cresselia. You're not going to be able to flip the matchup, but you're at least going to be able to hit them, which is something that's going to be very nice for you. But again, it seems like Shadow Machamp is just a better variant for this Pokemon in the Ultra League. So if you have a Shadow Machamp, you don't really need Conkeldurr too much. But it's a cool side grade and you can play them theoretically both together. But if we can take a look now also in the Matrix mode here again for this one, which shows more like the matchups directly, we will see again Shadow Machamp is going to win this by a little bit here, but with a better average rating, but the same amount of wins and losses in the Ultra League, which is also kind of interesting. As we can now take a look also in the 2-shield scenario, we will see that Machamp is just going to be better, just because you're going to have Cross Chop, which is just the better move to go for, makes this definitely in any scenario the better Pokemon to go for. But now we're going to go for the most interesting one of them all, which is going to be the Master League. For Master League, you're going to have the most amount of potential for Conkeldurr. As you're going to, of course, most likely expect already, Conkeldurr is actually going to get to a little bit of a higher rating than the Machamp, about 300 more CP, which is going to be interesting for the Master League. But also, Brutal Swing going to give it at least some coverage for Mewtwo, for Giratina. And while you're not going to be able to win these matchups, as you can see here right now as well, you're going to be able to most likely have some scenarios, for example, against a Dialga, where you can just farm them down, have a Brutal Swing stored, or like 2 Brutal Swing stores, and you can retaliate against Giratina Origin, doing a ton of damage against them, and you, in general, a great job for it. We see here Brutal Swing does around 35% damage against a Giratina Origin. So if you have like 2 stored and you have already some damage on them, you might even be able to flip some matchups against Mewtwo. As we're going to see right now, it's going to do around 50%, which is going to be amazing. So you can nearly 2-shot a Mewtwo, which is kind of wild. So this is definitely going to help this Pokemon out quite a bit. And also against Machamp, it looks kind of better. Here you're going to see on the left side, you kind of want to have Stone Edge coverage, of course, for Gyarados, which you don't see too often. But Stone Edge was also kind of nice for Rayquaza. As well as you're going to get no Hard Volt by Xerneas, which you ran before. So it is kind of hit or miss. But if you can take a look at the Matrix mode, we're going to see now that for the Master League at least, you're going to be able to surpass the Shadow Machamp, also just because of the rating. But as you can see here right now, you're going to actually do this in every single scenario, which is kind of nice to be seen. And so definitely an upgrade for the Master League. It doesn't make it too crazy strong, but it has some potential as a Shadow. Here we're going to take a look at Conkeldurr now in the Great League first. We can go through every league. We have like the Dynamic Punch plus Brutal Swing moveset, which seems to be proven to be the best one so far. And we will see here, this is the normal one without the Shadow bonus. And if we're going to put a Shadow bonus on them, the average rating increases by quite a bit, which makes it an interesting pick for the Great League as like something that can sweep, or in general something that does a ton of damage. And we can take a look at the other leagues as well and see the differences if we're going to get ever Conkeldurr as a Shadow, which is very likely, like along the line, most likely every Pokemon going to be Shadow. We can see the normal variant first here, getting 24 wins and 25 losses, being very neutral with the new moveset of Brutal Swing as well as Dynamic Punch. But if we go into the Shadow variant here, we will see again a slight increase here, I think, in the average rating, not really getting any extra matchups, but just going to be a little bit better. And now for the Master League, which is going to be most likely the most interesting one, we're going to take a look at the normal one first, which of course is here still an Ultra League IVs, which is not really what you want to have. For the normal one, you're going to see 16 wins, 20 losses, and for the Shadow variant, you're going to see 17 wins and 19 losses. In general, not the biggest difference here. You're going to win one more match up there, but you're going to also increase your average rating. You actually increase your average rating by 3. Which is not really ideal. So yeah, this Pokemon is an interesting side grade. It's definitely interesting to have this move on this Pokemon for maybe future updates, but right now it's most likely going to be a little bit of a side grade to Machamp that you can definitely run, but you don't have to run. The thing is, it's still kind of a community day that you most likely want to play, especially since the current bonus for this community day is going to be the 3x catch Stardust for this Pokemon, which is going to be, of course, the best community day event bonus of them all. Like, honestly, I don't really like XP or the hedge stuff there either, but yeah, let me know in the comment section, how do you rate this community day? Do you think that's a great community day? Do you think it's a bad one? I feel like it's kind of a mid one. Like, you can definitely use it for PvP. It's not going to be the worst Pokemon. It might be having some interesting play for the Master League Premier Cup if this ever comes back, which currently is not the case for the last few seasons, I think. But right now, at least, it's going to be something that you can have, but you don't really need to have. But it's still a cool Pokemon, a cool shiny, and definitely a fun one to hunt for. So definitely play this community day if you can, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great one. Bye-bye.